Welcome to the Business is Good podcast with Chris Young, president of the Good Place Institute, helping leaders build and steward thriving organizations where people flourish, communities prosper, and the organization is economically regenerative. I'm your host, Jim Brangenberg. You know, great business people know that they can't be a jack of all trades because they will end up being a master of nothing. You know you and your company are good at one thing or a few things. You know that. You know what you're good at. You know what your company's good at. Maybe it's a couple of things, but you have competition and they're good at different things. So how would you define your unique identity as an organization? What is it that you do that nobody else does as well as you do it? That's what Chris Young is here to talk about today. Chris, what do you mean by the organization's unique identity?
Yeah, and Jim, thanks again, man. This is awesome to be doing the episodes with you. This is the second area in the Good Place operating system, right? What do we mean by unique identity? What are you gifted at? What's the organization been gifted at? You know, you said some of the things in your intro.
Well, then I guess we're done. If I already summarized it, we're good to go.
You did a great job of summarizing it. But yeah, we'll unpack that, because there's methods to the madness there. But what are you unique at? Because that's the way God has designed humans and creation and organizations. Unique and purposeful. So what makes you unique? What are those unique strengths? What's your unique, you might call it a creation story, where you've been, where you're at, and where you're going? What's unique about you? What's unique about the products you offer, the services you offer? What's unique about your organization? And so we unpack all of that uniqueness. And in MBA land, this would be known as competitive differentiation.
Wow. Another 17-syllable phrase by Chris Young. Competitive, what was that again? Competitive what?
Differentiation.
Differentiate. That's 7 syllables. Very good. Okay. When I was in business as an insurance agent, Chris, I knew I needed to have a unique identity as an agency because instead of saying, I can sell you anything, I needed to know what I was really good at. So I went out and I met with my competitors and I found out what they were really good at. And I chose what I wanted to be really good at. I didn't do disability and health insurance and I didn't do big commercial because I knew I couldn't be good at that, but I did really good personal lines insurance. And that was my identity. So that helped me to really stay on track. So for the Good Place Institute, what is that unique identity?
I'm going to pick it apart in a few different categories, if you don't mind, because it starts with charter, which we had an episode about. How are you uniquely delivering the benefits to those you serve? Your employees, your customers, et cetera, like we talked about before. So honestly, this starts with area number 1 of the operating system, charter. And what are the values? So what are those biblical values that are non-negotiables, no matter what you're doing, that may or may not make you unique, right? So we have to remember that episode on the 3 waves, we're looking for holistic kingdom integration and what's your unique role in helping organizations build kingdom organizations, right? So what part of the body are you? You a hand, you an eye? Because we each have unique gifts and qualities and strengths that make that whole body work. And that's kind of what we're going for.
Is it normal for organizations to actually spend time to identify their unique identity? Or do you see most companies going, I'm too busy for that?
Yeah. It's a both and. I find honestly that larger companies are more attuned to this because part of the unique identity beyond charter and cultural values is your unique value proposition. And some people do this, as an organization. Some do this based on, a product or a product line. Hey, what's our value proposition for these products that we serve? And what makes us unique? And so it's a little, honestly, Jim, it's a little bit all over the board. But when you do kind of sit down and plan this out and talk about this, it does do all of those fun things that charter does.
Why do you think some leaders, though, really struggle to embrace this uniqueness, an organization's uniqueness, or struggle to name it? Why do you think leaders struggle with this?
It takes time.
Oh,
Let's be really simple. It takes time, and we are busy people.
but just like we've talked about in past episodes, the charter and the KOR dashboard and this uniqueness, if you take the time up front, isn't there a multiplier of effect and success and even profitability down the road?
Yes. But who wants to spend all this time planning? Because we really get our value from doing, right? We're doers. We're busy. Are you an important person, Jim? Show me by your busyness. And so taking a time out and really planning forward, right? It does. It saves time. A little bit out of context, but I love the line. It's a lot easier to erase a line on a blueprint than move the wall after you built it. But we like to move to building walls, right? So this is one of those things that, hey, let's understand the blueprint of our organization, and part of it is the unique identity, and it also the way we do unique value proposition, which hopefully we'll get to that in this episode. We ask 4 questions, and those are hard questions. But like if we walk through them, I think the audience and we'll see, wow, it does inform how we go to market. It informs our market message. It informs how we interact with people we sell to. It informs our products and services and our innovation even. It informs all of those things. So I always like to say, you're going to do this anyway. You're either going to do it along the way or you do it up front so that everything's aligned. I like to do it up front so everything's aligned.
So is identity, unique identity, and value proposition, are those the same thing?
We would say value proposition's a part of that unique identity. So in our world, unique identity starts with charter, like I said, cultural values, value proposition, and then how do you deliver that? So we call it hey, what's the way we deliver that? So this is called a major systems diagram. What are those major systems, those critical functions of the organization that's unique to the organization that allows you to deliver that value to all those stakeholders? And then the last thing is, the last part of unique value, if you want to take all 4 components, honestly, Jim, is this idea of the unique experience. What's your so again, in MBA land, this is known as customer journey or employee journey mapping, right? So what's that unique experience that your customer should have at every touch point? What's that unique experience your employee should have at every touch point? And how do you know you're delivering?
How does understanding our unique identity as an organization help us to get closer to being operating as a good place organization? Because I know it's a process, and we've talked about this book. You can get a copy of the Good Place Organization online at Amazon. Go out to our website, goodplaceinstitute.com. How does understanding this, Chris, help us get there?
I think we back into the why. Because a lot of the what and the how to might look similar, honestly, to the rest of the world. Why are we doing this? We're doing this because we define success differently, and we're doing this because God has uniquely designed and gifted individuals and organizations differently for His purposes for work and for organizational life. So how does this align? It integrates kingdom principles, biblical principles, into everyday business implementation, if you will.
So can you think of an organization, just to drive this home before we close out today's podcast, can you think of an organization that has taken their unique identity and used it to shape their organizational culture, their hiring practices, their customer experience, and have really succeeded at really just celebrating their unique identity?
Yes. I'm going to share one that hopefully everybody knows, and I don't have intimate knowledge of this one, but I use it as an example in some of our trainings. So real quick, the 4 questions we like to ask in value proposition, real easy. Hey, what problem are you trying to solve? Some of this is pretty straightforward, right? What problem are you trying to solve or opportunity are you trying to address? The second question is so unique. What's the ideal? So this also goes to your kingdom integration question, Jim. The second question of unique value proposition, what's the ideal solution? Or if the solution was in the kingdom and it was perfect, what would it look like? And then the third follow-up question is, how do we help our customers get closer and closer to that ideal or that kingdom solution. And then fourthly is, why would you trust us to do that anyway? So not that I know that this organization did exactly those four steps, but I like to look at Uber, interestingly enough. And I think they had to do this pretty concisely. What problem were they trying to solve? It was the taxi cab experience, right? Of maybe, calling a cab and not knowing if it was going to show up, or trying to get in the middle of a road, and hail down a cab and not knowing if you have the right change, and not know if the cabbie speaks, if we speak the same language, or you being a foreigner in that particular city and not knowing where to go, or is it a safe drive or not? And so they were very specific on the problems they were trying to solve. And they weren't trying to solve being a better cab. Right? They weren't trying to solve being a better cab company. So it expanded their minds. They actually became a mobility company. And so they changed mobility, right? And their solutions were pretty awesome, right? They solved the safety issue. They solved I can't hail a cab. They solved, with apps and technology and all of that sort of thing. And now they move more than just people. Now they move groceries and they move other things, and you're like, wow, they're a mobility company. So this unique value proposition actually changes our mindset to become more innovative as well.
And they literally transformed an industry.
Disruptive technology. It was amazing. It's amazing.
All right, so as a Good Place organization, we use our identity to really shape everything that we do. That's what you're saying?
Yeah, we want to capitalize on those strengths, capitalize on those uniquenesses. They're not weaknesses.